Professor Jeffrey Sachs joins me now, Director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, an economist, and also an author, amongst other publications, The Age of Sustainable Development. And your message that you've given to the forum just now, Professor, was in fact a real hard truth. Environmental safety is in doubt. And you talked a little bit about Europe being dry. If we talk about the politics of water for a moment, Ban Ki-moon gave a video address to this conference to open it this morning. He talked about water scarcity at Davos recently. Water is the foundation of food security, so this is one of the key issues that we are all focusing on at the moment.
One of the things that shocks me about the European situation is the drying of the Mediterranean basin. What's happening with global warming, human-induced global warming, is that the desert region of the Sahara is spreading out, and it means that North Africa is becoming drier. And what all the climate models are showing is that the whole Mediterranean basin, southern Europe, North Africa, the Mediterranean, is not only already on a downtrend of precipitation, but that it's going to intensify. I was in Rome last week, and I was saying, please take care. Such a beautiful, vital part of the world, and so fragile right now. And that's a message for Europe. Generally, it's a message for the world, because all over the world, there's tremendous stress from uncontrolled human-made climate change. We've signed an agreement in Paris last December 12. Now we have to implement it. Same with the Sustainable Development Goals. They're wonderful, but they're on paper. Now we have to make them real.
You talked about being 17 of them being an unwieldy number until you looked at maybe having a graphic of 3 lots of 6, something to try. It's an awful lot to ask, isn't it? We look at climate change, that context, then we're talking about feeding 200,000 more mouths every day, feeding the world in a way that is still sustainable. You said in the conference just now almost that there weren't any answers or solutions, but you said it came from technical and joined up thinking. Just tell me what your message was to the forum there.
When you look at a goal like Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which is sustainable agriculture, you can't expect a narrow magic key solution because sustainable agriculture means less impact on the environment, more water efficiency, resilience from climate change, producing the right kinds of crops, and so forth, more nutritious diets, help for smallholders. It is what we say a holistic framework. It's a difficult mindset. Even specialists are trained along their very narrow specialty, but all of a sudden our challenge is a holistic challenge. I like the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's my field of teaching sustainable development, because it forces people to come together to say, I know a bit about this, but I don't really know what you do. I don't know what you do, but I can add my piece. And if we start not with our narrow professional focus or even our sector focus, private business, government, civil society, but go after the problem, how to make agriculture sustainable, then you bring all sorts of groups to the table. And if you really sit around the table and say, what are we going to do? Someone proposes something, someone else jumps up and says, are you crazy? That's not going to work. And you have that brainstorming. Then we're really going to get somewhere. I've had a lot of experience watching that work in fighting disease, in fighting extreme poverty under the Millennium Development Goals. It's a different kind of governance. It's not what our governments are used to. But we need that more complex, multi-stakeholder approach, but not to just have a crazy discussion about everything and everybody, but focused on specific problem solving. That's on what we have decided to solve.
It's the roadmap idea, isn't it? Because otherwise the challenge is this is a political debate, in fact. And I think you used the analogy to the forum today of, here's the car, but steering the car, who's in charge of the car, who's having a squabble on the back seat, and so it goes on.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, in terms of then a final call to action then from you, from your perspective, in terms of the way a forum like this does put the spotlight onto, multifactorial problems, because there is no one silver bullet. What would you leave as a key thought to the forum?
First, a thank you, because this is an incredible forum, and the people that came are absolutely leaders across all the different sectors that need to come together. But I'm a professor, so I also get to leave homework assignment. The short-term homework assignment for the next day, for anyone watching, even for the next hour, go online, find the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. Learn them. Impress your mother, your daughter, your son, your neighbor, your colleague that you know them, and encourage them to know them too, because this is our hope, that we have shared goals globally. Second homework assignment, I always tell my students, make them work. That's a 15-year homework assignment. Then they say, oh my God. I tell them, end poverty in 15 years. And then I tell them, look, it's an open book test. You can work in groups, but go at it. You have 15 years to do this. And young people, yes, that's empowering. We have something we can do. And I can do it if I'm in business, if I'm working in government, if I'm in a city government, if I'm in an international agency. As long as we're focused on the problem solving, every part of society can come together to do this. What you're not allowed to do in my course is to say, I don't care about that stuff. That's silly. That's never going to work. That kind of cynicism is absolutely dangerous for the world. And just pure neglect is reckless. We have to be responsible to say we're going to work together globally to turn the world in a direction that's safe, especially for our children. I'm a grandfather now for my grandchildren, so that's what we really need to say.
Professor Jeffrey Sachs, thank you very much for coming and talking to the forum today.
Pleasure to be with you.